Hello, my friends, and welcome to Italy, a place to love YouTube channel. The channel where I like to talk about the good, the bad, the properties, and all we have to know about Italy and Italians. So, today let's talk about Italian habits, alright? Because I found a very interesting post on the group Expats Living in Italy. And then was also nice to read all the comments under the post. So today I'm going to read this post and let's comment together also all the replies. So let's start. I have always been fascinated by how everyday life can be so different from country to country, especially the small things most locals don't even think about. Italy seems to have such a strong food and social culture, and I'm really curious, what's one small everyday thing that totally surprised you when you moved there? Could be about food, routines, habits, even something funny or confusing at first. Always love hearing those little cultural contrast stories. Now, I'd say that Italy is on the top of the list about these type of little things, about the habits. So that's why I decided to make a video about this kind of topic, also to see by the expats, foreigners' point of view, what are these little things that or they might like it or they might annoy, because it's always in between. All right, so let's start. Now, someone said, for me, it's the amount of unsolicited advice I receive. It comes from a place of good intention, so they mean well and it shouldn't be taken negatively, but it's a lot compared to where I'm from. Yes, I have to agree. Italians have this habit to constantly remind things, people. Anyway, it's not really nice. I find it a bit uncomfortable, but they do. Italian people do. So, unsolicited advice I receive. I mean, something that people here decide that, oh no, better I recommend this or that. Well, for me, everyone should do their business, but here it's impossible that people are gonna do their businesses. Now, apart from good old colpo d'aria, colpo d'aria, let's read the comment. Apart from good old colpo d'aria, I was surprised how much Italians discuss their health and any issue. British tend to downplay health problems, while Italians seem to be proud to share them. Now, colpo d'aria in Italy, let's say I try to, because it's like air hit you, the air hits you. So it's like, for example, it's a very warm day and you keep all the windows open in the house, and then you have a draft. Now, that draft in Italy, it's well known, it has been taught since we are children in Italy to avoid this type of draft because they might make you sick. But anyway, about the health issues, is true. Anyway, here people constantly share their problems. Anyway, wherever you go, people start talking about their health problems always. That's main issue. In fact, she received 18 like, a lot of laughs, so it means people agree with this comment. Now, one thing that stood out to me is that Italians here don't use garlic near as much as they do in the US. Do in the US people use a lot of garlic? Anyway, I like garlic. I have made few pictures about the wild garlic that I found here. I love it. And anyway, garlic is also considered like a medicine, so I think it's kind of healthy, to eat garlic. Maybe I don't exaggerate, not in huge amounts, but anyway, Italians generally, yes, they might not eat a lot of garlic. That's true. They might put in the soffritto, before you are cooking, when you put oil, onion, and garlic or celery. Anyway, before making ragu, bolognese, typical, that's soffritto. Now, how everyone talks on speaker phone always. Now, this, I don't know if she means that people are louder when they are speaking at the phone, or they use the loud, or they simply use a loud volume with their phones. Let's see what the reply says. I hate that too. I don't hate it. I find it amusing and culturally different. Once I saw two people on a Vespa traveling down the street, both screaming separately into their speaker phones. Why? I find it particularly adorable, funny to see really small kids doing it, and they aren't on FaceTime. Nope, just speakerphone and speaking very loudly. Now, all the Italian, even me, I have to be honest, my wife always tell me, maybe now not anymore, but in the beginning she was always telling me, but why are you screaming and shouting? In particular, when I was speaking with my parents, with my mom, or with some friends, Italian friends on the phone, nothing. There's nothing to do. We scream and shout when we speak on the phone. I don't know why. Anyway, it's in our genes, has to be in our DNA. Then, that is horrible. I'm Italian living in the UK. When I'm back in Italy, I find it very uncomfortable. Again, yeah, let's say I don't notice, for example. If you're asking to me if people are screaming and shout when they're speaking on the phone, I'd say I don't notice. But many people do, and they find it quite annoying, so I can understand. Then, a big shock for me was their love for karaoke in the garden, with the equivalent of a concert amplifier. Always summer, Christmas, New Year birthdays, Saints days, holidays, and any old day of the week you like. A constant holiday, but some people work early and need to sleep. I'm used to it now, but I found it so hard in the beginning. About this comment, it's coming apart that, yes, it's true here, for example, in the town. If I'm going to sleep early at 10 o'clock, half 10 in the evening, I like to go to sleep, I have to say that until midnight, half 12, 1 a.m., during the summer, live until 2, 3, you can hear people screaming, speaking louder. Anyway, so, yeah. So, but here in this comment, a constant holiday, but some people work early and need to sleep. My feelings, I'm making a lot of joke with me and my wife when we are walking around or where we are driving. For me, it seems like here, in particular in the south of Italy, nobody's working. I believe that obviously people are working, but the feeling, by the amount of people I see in the street, every hour of the day, in the morning, at middle, at lunch, in the afternoon, in the evening. Obviously, in the evening, no, people don't work, but it seems the impression is like nobody's working in this country, in particular in the south of Italy. When I was living in the north, I never had this impression, but here, I don't know, I see constantly bars full from the morning till the evening. But anyway, it's a joke. People are working. Then we meet an older local gentleman from the town we live in. During conversation, he asked where we are from. My partner and I explained where we are from originally. So we are from Northern Ireland. He laughed and he asked, "Are you Protestant or Catholic?" Big thing, the whole religion thing is in Northern Ireland, especially years ago, we know. We all found it funny as he knew the whole Northern Ireland background. Giggles when he sees us now. Now, first, let's say that Italians know everything about everything. So there's no person here that doesn't know something. They're all experts. So with whoever you are talking, they're expert of everything. So, but it's also true that Italians are people that they like to be informed, to keep informed, to know the news. So, and probably For example, if we're talking now about the situation many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, elderly people, obviously, they were following the situation between Ireland and Northern Ireland, the situation between Protestant and Catholics. But so anyway, here and then anyway, it's a he giggles when he see us now. So anyway, he's a friendly person. They didn't take it personally, so it's fine. Nothing, as I grew up Italian, so everything there seems normal. Yes, it's true. I mean, if you are Italian, we simply don't notice these things are normal for us. So that's anyway. This is not Ita. I mean, she has probably Italian origin. Maybe she's not saying in which country she lived, but because she lived in an Italian family, anyway, these things for her are kind of normal. Then the assumption that being English, I have no idea how to cook anything. Of course, for the Italian that know everything, of course, a foreigner for sure doesn't know how to cook, while this is not true because there are so many beautiful cuisines around the world that, but if you ask to any Italians, are you mad? You don't know how to cook, you have to learn. But this is an Italian thing. Anyway, they know everything about food. Now, I like how stores close. People go home for lunch, then reopen. Yes, it's true. So here you have, but like in Spain, probably like in Portugal, like in many countries where they do the siesta because it's too warm. But here it's normal. Shops, they're closing at 1 o'clock. They reopen at 5, sometimes even at 6. I saw shops reopening at 6 o'clock. And they meant to reopen at 5, so I knew they were reopen at 5. I went to the shop at 5 and they said, oh, the shop is still closed. Then I'd say, okay, let's go for a little walk. Coming back after 15 minutes and the shop is still closed. And then you might think, oh, maybe today is not gonna open. Then you pass by after half an hour and then you see that the shop is open. So here they open a bit when they want. There's no kind of really, they don't follow strictly the opening and the closing hours. Then they may stay open till 9 o'clock. If they have a friend in the shop, they might stay open till 10 o'clock. Then trying to find parking for your car and finally realizing you have been living in a bubble all your life. Now, I don't understand the second part about living in a bubble all your life. What I do understand is to trying to find a parking for your car. It's an art. I mean, you have to be an artist. Let's see here the replies. Our observation, it just saying parking is an art form and speed signs are aspirational. Yes, it's true here. I mean, whenever. It's impossible. I hate the way the Italians are driving anyway, but me with my Ferrari, I drive very slow. I don't care. For me, even if I have a queue behind me, I put my elbow out and I don't speed because I hate speeding and I like to drive in total relax. I know after 39 years down under, I still cannot shake it off these attitudes. And then someone say, oh, I love it. But anyway, parking here, you have to be an artist for parking. But it's something that we learn since, I remember this since I took the driving license, since I was 18. Anyway, park wherever you want, park wherever you find a little gap, a little space. Obviously, and never in the second line, never. I hate that. I don't know if there is this expression, but in Italy it's a common thing to park. There is a line of cars parked, and then sometimes someone parks on the road. It's like it's a second line and sometimes even third line. So, but then you arrive to your car and you see that another car is blocking your car. Then that can turn into a tragedy. Then this thread is surprising me. At least many of the reason we are so comfortable in Italian company and to such large extent we are moving to Italy. So this is the reason, because they love all these kind of crazy, mad habits. That air conditioning is not a good thing. That's very, very interesting. Okay, let me read. There are a few comments. We just had someone into our apartment. She said it was the first apartment she had ever been. She had ever been in Italy with air conditioning. All right. I don't even get me. Oh, don't even get me started on wet hair. That's a big thing. So here, you are not allowed to go out with wet hair. Lol, someone says, or exposing your upper arms before it's 90 degrees Celsius outside for a sustained 2 weeks. Yes, if there are no 90 degrees outside, at least for 2 weeks, I mean, it's like it's still winter here, all right? But about the air conditioning, this is at the age of 48. Now, here in the house where I am, I have two air conditioners, one upstairs and one downstairs, one in the bedroom, one in the attic, and one in the bedroom. And then I have two big fans in the living room, on the ceiling, too big. Sometimes, now this summer, I didn't even remember that I had these two fans. I only started casually the other day because I say, oh, but I have the fans here. Why don't we turn it on? But anyway, then I turn it on. I switch it on. After 5 minutes, I switch it off. And since then, I haven't turned it on again. Air conditioning, I don't like it. I don't like air conditioning. Basically, here I turn it on only 2 hours. If after lunch I decide to go for a nap, because here it's extremely important. Anyway, as I said, the siesta, we like to have a little nap after lunch. It's so hot. Then yes, because I start sweating badly, and then I say, okay, let's turn on. But if the temperature outside is 30, I set maybe 27. 26, no, for me 26 is already too cold. I know some people put maybe 18 degrees, but anyway, for that 2 hours in the evening, at night, I would never turn it on. Even if it's very warm, absolutely no. Apart that at night, no, it's enough to keep the windows open, a bit of draft in the house. I prefer to have a bit of draft than air conditioning on. I'm not a fan. And this is the first house that I have air conditioner. In Ireland, no, I didn't have. But in Italy, before I moved to Ireland, for the 30 years that I spent in Italy before I moved to Ireland, my parents my parents still never had an air conditioner at home. Never. Maybe, I don't know if they put recently, last year or 2 years ago, in Turin, in their apartment in Turin. I don't know. I have to ask them. But when I was living with my parents, when I was in Italy before I moved to Ireland, we never had an air conditioner. Now that everyone sees my son, he just turned 5 years old, and calls him bellissimo bambino, angelico, and they give him candy or a little toy. They ask what his name is, and address him by his name when we see them again. I'm not used to people giving children candies or toys when they do not know them or talking with them. I'm not sure if it is normal to call children beautiful angel. Yes, in Italy it's such a common thing, in particular from the elderly people. Absolutely beautiful angel. Or if it's because he has special needs. Maybe because he's special needs, but generally elderly people to all their children are very generous, and they give candies and toys extremely, extremely. I see the grandparents with their grandchildren constantly buying toys, bringing to the shop what candies you like. And then if there are other children, they buy for other children. But I am very grateful they include him and do not shun him because he's delayed and autistic. and they agree he's beautiful. He has big blue eyes and curly brown hair, and his large build, wide shoulders and tall. No, I'd say that Italian people are very nice towards children, and in particular towards children with disabilities. It's very, very hard to see someone treat them. No, I mean, it's extremely, extremely nice. Oh, an interesting comment here. The amount of daring flirting. All right, this is. I can make a video about this. Every time I step outside, I make it 50 meters, sometimes 100, before someone stops me and asks me on a date or starts flirting. I'd say this is kind of one of the most normal things in Italy. I tell you, I should make a video about this because as an Italian man, anyway, the art of being a lover, this is kind of taught since we were children. Anyway, then you see elder guys, elderly men behaving like this and so on. Obviously, that turns into. Then I understand that other nationalities might not be familiar with this. Now, by the picture I see, it seems to be like a pretty woman first. Then I don't know if it's your fault. Second, they probably know you are single because you would never see this type of behavior with a woman that is in a relationship or married. You would never simply see anyone misbehaving towards a girl. If they know you are single, yes, they might appreciate openly. Um, Men seem to have absolutely zero fears of you saying no. Absolutely true. I mean, we don't care if you say no. If you say no, at least I say I tried. The risk is always worth it. They will just walk straight up to you on a morning stroll, tell you you are beautiful, and ask if they can take you to a coffee. Anyway, it's true. It's true. Generally, we don't care if you say no. I tried. Let's say it's well worth it to try. Then you might say yes. Oh, let's go for a coffee. Let's go for an ice cream. Anyway, let's go for a cappuccino, whatever you want. Obviously, if the other side is saying yes. Then in restaurants, even pizza places, no salt or pepper on the table and not even available in many, and no ice in water room temperature water. Ah, yes, here generally they don't put ice when they give you but the cold water, yes, they always take the water from the fridge in the restaurants. I mean, my wife that doesn't like ice, she always has to say, no ice, please. But no salt and peppers, that's a common thing. And then you have to ask. Um, the lack of drinking. Italians, I don't know, it's not drinking water for sure. I think it's referring to drinking alcohol. Drink so much less than Londoners, and there is little culture of after work socializing like we do in the UK. Generally, after work we go home, and then maybe later in a 1, 2, 3 hours, then we go for an aperitif, and then have the socializing time, and then after the aperitif, maybe half 8, 9, half 9 p.m., 10 p.m., then you go home for the dinner, unless the aperitif was so fulfilling that you don't even need to have dinner. Then Scandinavian personal space and calmness, forget about it. Loud, everyone is in everyone's business in small towns. True, everyone's, but depends if you allow them. Because in my case, for example, nobody, but maybe because I'm Italian, food is always a good conversation started. Yes, they obviously yell after a pretty woman passes by, in particular in the south of Italy, but generally Italians, and then they do with Italian women, with foreigners. I mean, um, there are videos I can make about this. Okay, now I'm a married man, but the art of loving a woman. I can say a lot of things. Then, two things always stood out for me. One, how they don't respect times. True. Feel fine with turning up late for appointments and don't apologize and think nothing, or walking into a bank or office just as it's closing. Even worse for me, calling or messaging their doctor late at night or at the weekend for advice. True. Each time when I went to the GP, to the doctor, basically she was, instead of serving me, looking after me, she was only answering the phone, and people were asking, oh, what should I do? What should I take? Anyway, then two, how teachers and sports coaches are allowed to have physical contact with kids. A hug, a pat on the head, hold their hand. My friends in the UK are horrified by this and say that there, a teacher can't even sit a child on their knee anymore to console them. I love that Italy is still not politically correct. I have to agree. I mean, I see that in some Northern European countries there is an obsession about the behavior towards children. Here, and I don't see it bad. I don't see it bad. I mean, personally, I don't like physical contact with children, zero. Stay away from me. Anyway, but I see that there's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong. Most of the times our children also, I noticed, for example, in the school where my wife is working, and she was a bit complaining of the children really approaching her, touching her. It's something not really nice, but children also do. Anyway, in this case, towards her, and but anyway, we have less phobia about this problem that I don't even want to mention. You guess what? It's a mental disease. It's a problem. But in Italy, it's not. I've never seen it as a problem. I noticed when I moved abroad, I've noticed that a lot of people felt that as a huge, huge problem. Now, our dog has a total new way of life here. He is welcome. Oh gosh, I'm already at 27 minutes. There are still few comments I wanted to read, but I see that the video is already quite long. Making appointments and never show up, even several times in a row without regrets. When asked why, they come up with hundreds of explanations, but no excuses. Yes, that's totally true. Anyway, making appointments and never show up. Common, very, very common thing. Even several times in a row without regrets. And when asked why, they came up with hundreds, and when asked why, they came up with hundreds of explanations, but no excuses. Impossible. Forget to have excuses from an Italian. Actually, even sorry for me when I moved abroad, the people are saying sorry. I was always saying, but why are they saying sorry? I mean, it didn't it didn't exist at all in my culture to say sorry. So, boo. Anyway, pity, because there are still many interesting comments, but the video is already quite long, and it's better I don't go too long. How strangers rush to help the elderly open a door or cross the street. True. I mean, I always open the door if I see an elderly person in a difficult situation. But anyway, from this point of view, highest level of respect. All right, my friends, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And so, after this video about the Italian habits, good and bad, you'll decide. Anyway, let me know under the comment section what do you think about these typical habits. If you might have something even more, something to say, and say it under the comments. All right, my friend, I wish you a lovely day, and I'll see you here on Italy, A Place to Love YouTube channel. Bye!